governors hold security drive.
President Tinubu orders mandatory health insurance cover across federal NDAs.
Nigeria posts record non-oil revenue, boosting national fiscal strength.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we examine the rising cost of Nigeria's international passports.
All right, if you thought that your next travel would just mean packing up your bags and heading down the airports, you may have to think again, because our passports are back in the headlines. Since September 1st, the cost of a 32-page passport has become 100,000 naira, and a 64-page, 200,000 naira.
Victor, and government insist this isn't just a price hike, but an investment in upgraded security features, stronger paper, biometric enhancement, and a finish that meets global standards.
But many citizens are wondering if they are getting a premium passport or just paying a premium price.
Indeed, most Nigerians are asking that million-dollar question. Some have said the increase will fund local production of booklets and a new centralized personalization center.
Well, let me also mention the promise of 1 week turnaround for every applicant. That's for producing the passport.
So hopefully, no more endless queues, no more middlemen, and at the same time, a document Nigerians can proudly present anywhere in the world.
Yet across the country, the concerns are real. People say the fees have outpaced incomes, with national minimum wage at 70,000 naira. Passports are fast becoming a luxury and unaffordable for the ordinary Nigerian.
So it is a bold promise on one hand, stronger security features, faster service, and a passport that upholds Nigeria's integrity internationally, but a tough pill on the other side.
Indeed, tough pill. And we are told government has long subsidized passport production, that booklets are imported, and exchange rates have skyrocketed. Add to that an inherited 28 billion naira debt, which had to be cleared.
But is this new pricing the answer, or an added burden on ordinary Nigerians? That's the question we'll be putting to our guest this morning. Welcome to the program. I am Jummai Yusuf.
And I am Victor Azu. Thank you so very much for joining us. We will get to the conversation looking at the promises and the worries around Nigeria's new passport fees. Our guests will be joining us in a bit. But first, let's get to the morning news, and Dennis Adegunloye will help us with it. Good morning, Dennis.
Yes, good morning, Victor and Jummai. Good morning, Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has commended governors in the northeast region of the country for their dedication to the fight against insecurity. The president received the governors under the umbrella of the Northeast Governors, led by the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum. President Bola Tinubu has declared that his administration's bold economic reforms, which aim to restore Nigeria to its enviable position, are achieving favorable results. The president stated this when he received the Shoun of Ogbomoso Oba Gandhi Afolabi Olaoye at the State House.
I'm glad to report to you today that the economy is stabilized.
And President Bola Tinubu has directed the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to issue a service-wide circular mandating all ministries, departments and agencies to implement mandatory health insurance under the National Health Insurance Act 2022, with 5 key actions including compulsory enrollment of employees in the National Health Insurance Authority plan, acceptance of NHIA health insurance certificates as a prerequisite for public procurement, licensing and permit renewals, the creation of a digital platform for easy verification of certificates, and the development of internal procedures to verify authenticity and to monitor compliance. While urging closer engagements with the private sector to avoid undue constraints, the President emphasized that the directive seeks to expand the coverage, safeguard workers, cut out-of-pocket expenses, and promote accountability 3 years after the Act was enacted, amid persistently low national health insurance coverage. Meanwhile, the presidency has welcomed new revenue figures for January to August 2025, showing Nigeria's unprecedented growth in non-oil collections, 20.59 trillion naira, a 40.5% rise from 2024, credited to reforms that strengthen compliance, digitized tax administration, and reduction in borrowing from local banks. President Bola Tinubu highlighted this shift in an address to a Buhari organization delegation led by Senator Tanko Amakura, noting record FAC disbursements surpassing 2 trillion naira, monthly allocations to states and local governments, and Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the president, saying oil is no longer the dominant driver of government revenue, and the priority now is to translate these gains into better roads, schools, hospitals, jobs, and relief for citizens. The federal government is seeking global partnerships towards the implementation of the Nigeria Road Safety Strategy to guarantee sustainable action. Vice President Kashim Shettima, at the 8th annual lecture series of the Federal Road Safety Corps, emphasized the critical nature of road safety, stating that road safety is not just a matter of policy, but a critical part of the lifeline that connects the people of the nation. The federal government has arraigned 9 persons identified as prime suspects in connection with the recent wave of killings in Benue and Plateau states. The suspects were arraigned before the Federal High Court, Abuja Division. A suspected gun runner arrested with 7 M16 rifles was also arraigned. Haruna Adamu and Mohammed Abdullahi are facing a 4-count charge in connection with the killings in Abinsi and Yelwadda villages, Guma local government area of the state. Both suspects are alleged to have committed the offense on June 13th, 2025, in collaboration with others still at large. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris has re-emphasized that under President Bola Tinubu, there will be no safe haven for corruption in Nigeria, and efforts are relentless to advancing far-reaching judicial reforms aimed at curbing unnecessary delays in corruption trials. At a roundtable with commissioners for information organized by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, the federal government insists that anti-corruption agencies are not and will not be instruments of political hunt. The federal government's vision under President Tinubu's leadership is driven by the passion of providing an enduring development for Nigeria and Nigerians. At an engagement with commissioners for information from the 36 states of the country, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, re-emphasized that Nigeria is on a journey of lasting prosperity that requires the genuine commitment of all citizens. Loud ovation rented the air when NTA headquarters staff came out in their numbers to receive the reinstated Director General Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos. The DG returned to office barely a week after he left following the directive by President Bola Tinubu that he should be reinstated with other executive directors. Well, that's the news for now. Good morning. Nigeria continues shortly after this break with Jume and Victor.
By the special grace of God, I will be turning 65 years old on the 21st September 2025. And this happens to be a Sunday. This is why I have decided to dedicate the day to God for all His blessings in my life and having a quiet birthday. I wish to appeal to those who would like to send a birthday card, cakes, flowers, greetings in the newspapers, or gifts. Should please send the funds to the designated account for a special project close to my heart, among many others. The completion of the National Library. This will be the best birthday present I could receive. My love for education has informed my decision to dedicate my birthday to this worthy cause. This fund is coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Education under Oluremi at 65 Education Fund, Zenith Bank PLC. Account number is 131-031-4977. Thank you for joining me in this building project. God bless you.
For an exclusive 3x skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by Black Carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
Have you been aspiring to be a student of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to no avail? Worry no more, as you can gain entry through NTA Television College Jos, an affiliate of the renowned Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, where eligible candidates with a JAMB admissible scores of not less than 180 and 100 scores, and with 5 credits O-level in social sciences including English and mathematics, can turn their passion in broadcasting to profession by applying for a BSc in Mass Communication and MBTE approved innovation diploma courses in film and television production, broadcast journalism and television engineering respectively. The college, as a training herb with a pedigree of professionalism in the media space, also offers specialized courses in other related fields. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or contact 080-33 834-343 and 080-69-809-897. Announcer Management.
Good morning, Nigeria, and up next is newspaper review.
And Chukwudi Okoliubaja is well seated, ready for
Yes.
newspaper
As
review.
always,
Good morning.
Of course,
making
Abo.
us
Good to
crack
see
our
you
ribs this
again.
morning as usual.
I thought I was finished as a broadcaster. You resurrected me.
It's what we do best.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Good morning.
All right, let's begin with the leadership. And the lead story here reads, Northern elders to Tinubu declare emergency on insecurity in North. That's on page 4. Gunmen displace 300, set 30 Plateau homes ablaze. That story is on page 4. All right, and there is a picture story which details a crushed vehicle conveying a family of 3 chased to death by touts under Mabushi Bridge here in Abuja. And above the nameplate, presidency says non-oil sector accounts for 75% as total revenue hits 20.59 trillion naira in 8 months. That's on page 7. And 29 die in fresh Niger boat accident is on page 7. Just below the nameplate, transporters fume as marketers defend CNG price hike. You get details of that also on page 7. And just the last set of stories here on the front page. Federal government laments cancellation of Nigerians' U.S. visas. Page 14. Kwankwaso still open to joining APC, says NNPP rep. It's on page 4. And DSS arraigns 75-year-old man, 8 others over Benue Plateau killings. You get details of that on page 9. And finally, resume oil exploration in Komani, Lake Chad. Northeast governors tell Tinubu. You get details of that on page 14. And that takes us to the blueprint. The main headline here is Constitution Review. Abbas harps on grassroots governance, increased women representation, roles for traditional institution too. And the details you get on page 8. Of course, some other stories that we had taken on the other daily are here as well. In sports, World Cup qualifiers, full house in Uyo with Osimhen, others arrival. That's on page 32. And down to the bottom of the page, terrorism. Nigeria nabs 5,000 suspects, secures 775 convictions, recovers 360 firearms. 9 Benue massacre suspects arraigned, and Africa now global epicenter. That's according to the UN, and you get details of that on page 6. And FG declares Friday public holiday to commemorate Eid al-Maulud. Is on page 9. Jumai.
Yes, Victor, let's quickly go to the Business Nigeria. And above the masthead of the Business Nigeria, FCTA revokes all park licenses in Abuja. Orders fresh screening. Details on page 2. CBN reports $29 billion inflows as outflows hit 5-year high. You find the details on page 5. And the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission enforces 100 million naira fine on rogue loan apps. You find the details on page 2. Nigeria unveils new school curriculum with journalism, coding, AI. You find all the details on page 2. And NGX, low price stocks outperform inflation, ASI in 2025. And at the bottom of the Business NG, FG declares Friday public holiday for Eid al-Maulud. And the headlines, Nigeria projected at 1,585 naira to $1 by December. That's a report coming from the Standard Bank. And Nigeria records 20.59 trillion revenue in 8 months, strongest in years. Mr. Chukudi, let's hit it.
When I was leaving after Good Morning Nigeria yesterday, I got to Cairo roundabout and saw, something that suggested that the king was coming to address a few people. The chairs were golden, the canopy was something else. And my journalistic thinking fumed. Why would they block part of the roundabout? You know how we think. Yeah. We come with criticism. Then I saw the caterpillars, I saw the trucks. Wike was flagging off the construction of Cairo Road. So I said, journalism, take a back seat. This man really is a performer.
There's something good coming.
Otherwise, you don't block the road. You know how we think. Yes. So now I hear parks licenses revoked, let them, it is actually a move to stop many of the loopholes. Remember the ground rent and all that. Many of the massive houses you see in Abuja owned by people who are billionaires, they don't pay
tax.
Ground rent. We can't move like that. Well, anyway, by January, we'll go begin know what tax mean, Government is taking us closer to the US-UK type, where revenue is actually the driver of development.
It's not just collecting the tax. We want to see it on ground.
Thank you. No, when we get to that stage, we're going to say, hey, we are not against you getting monies to run us. A friend of mine said when he got to California long ago, he found out there are too many taxes. But that within 5 years of his getting there, they transformed the place and he said, I wish I could pay more tax. Yes. So no problem. But let us see you know, when these things start. Yes. So it's a drive for revenue, and no problem at all as long as it's used to develop us. That's my thinking on the matter. You mentioned the Mabushi mayhem. Mayhem in the sense that it gives me the jitters that in Abuja, I'm not saying that any settlement, any community in Nigeria is inferior to the Federal Capital Territory. But because visitors touch down here first at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, you go the extra mile to make sure that urchins, you know, we call them area boys in Lagos then, do not become a very bad sight. And indeed, a very bad act. Happened. Because this went into an act that turned out murderous. I likely to murder, you know. How could you drive a family to their death? Where did you get the audacity from? On what platform were they working? Questions, questions, questions. Remember our driver who got killed? Yes. You know? We have to move fast. The kind of name these boys are beginning to give Abuja, you see some of them under the bridges. And you know these people don't mean well.
They don't.
We have to become more vigilant, and we have to tell people this is where your freedom stops. Because when your freedom, Chukwudi's freedom impinges on Victor's freedom, even though I don't like him, you have to call a stop to my activity, because another man
doesn't like you, so
I don't like him. I don't like him.
He's just jealous.
You know,
he's jealous that I'm sitting
I don't like
with
him. So it's really something.
It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's
then
sad.
presidency says non-oil sector accounts for 75% of total revenue. You know, which has hit 20.59 trillion naira in 8 months.
Strongest in
years. You know, I keep on repeating here, when government does well, please, journalists, say they have done well. When they have not done well, also respectfully say they have not done well. They could do better.
The business NG, you know,
activism against government, which I see in some broadcast stations now. Yeah, you were saying something.
I said the business NG is just projecting, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Naira projected at 1,585
exactly.
by December.
And the government is insisting that it is reforms that are responsible. I told you about me and the Akara woman.
Yes.
Your Akara don't they big more things don't they come down.
That
was our level of community economics.
Yes.
But it is real. But we said Jumai's pocket and Victor's pocket should swell more to be able to buy even that which is coming down.
All right, I missed this one earlier.
What did you miss?
The blueprint. Tinubu orders mandatory health insurance for MDAs.
Okay, in the blueprint
you know that everybody now has to enroll because there is a new target of enrollment for the NHIA.
Yes, I said NHS could force a British Prime Minister to resign if it's not handled well.
Yes.
Decent societies, modern societies make health the priority number one. So if this is a move to get us into the net of health insurance, it is good. I had to take Jamilu, into NHIS so that the cost of surgery was going to drop, and it dropped drastically. Nigerians do not know the benefit of NHIS. Even Chukwudi, with his the Paratu says he knows this, he knows that. I didn't know that NHIS was that effective.
Very.
It is.
It's just that you have to buy drugs. Most of the drugs.
Then you have to be careful whom your, what do they call them now? Mine was placed under police. What is it now?
HMO.
HMO. You must be careful which HMO you join. Not all of them are efficient.
Northern elders to Tinubu declare emergency on insecurity in the north. And I was reading the governor of Zamfara was saying if he has power over the security apparatus in his state, he will stop insurgency in 2 weeks.
You're mentioning my champion governor. The man came out openly and said, part of the problem is the security people themselves. You see, when I see a man who feels that he can lay his life on the line for the benefit of the people, I respect him. Zulum Babagana should be praised all the time. Yes. And the government needs to look into what Northern elders are talking about and see whether the benefits outweigh the... Because sometimes you do this, some of the same people who are saying do this will now come with their own complaints.
Yes.
Excesses, all that, you know.
So
it depends on how we implement it.
On a rather sad note, now 29 die in fresh Niger boat mishap.
Again.
50 rescued and 2 missing. That's on page 6 of the blueprint. But here, you also have, apart from the family of 3 chased to death, you know, gunmen displaced 300, set 30 Plateau homes ablaze.
It's a babel of voices, mainly fatal voices in Nigeria. And you're taking me back to my old-fashioned way of saying, this is not whom we were. I grew up when Toro could buy things. When we changed the tire of the Maurice Minor, and the man offered us 1 penny, and we said, no, we did it free. Not these days that children plant nails on the road, waiting for you to bump into it, then you're money at 10,000. You know, so we grew up in an organized environment.
Where value system.
But they're accused of sounding old-fashioned. These Gen Z people, you know.
Gen Z.
Okay. So, to talk about what you really asked me, what are our maritime supervisors doing, maritime transportation supervisors doing? Kingsley said the last time here, we started talking about mishaps on the.
We talked about it just a few weeks ago.
Have you since then heard any real handling of the situation in a way that it would halt this? I've not. If you have, tell me.
Okay.
Quickly, in
30 seconds.
Quickly,
in 30 seconds, transporters fume as marketers defend CNG price hike.
It's going from, is it 230 to what? Yes. Okay, 230 to, yeah, it's up 230 to 380. Then trucks would pay 450. CNG will still remain cheaper than PMS. But what I tell people is, when you need to complain, you must complain respectfully. It means something to me that you are respectful in your complaint. Then if you have a point, press it. Government has a duty to do what the people want. Lucky Winedio, when he was campaigning in Benin City, his payoff was give the people what they want. Ultimately, government will give us what we want if we ask nicely and insist on our rights too.
All right, let me respectfully thank you.
Thank you. I respectfully tell you to Jeje Waka.
He's a very respectful hypocrite.
We'll see you again tomorrow. You can't say everything in one day.
Thank you guys.
See you tomorrow.
See you guys again.
Yeah.
Good morning, Nigeria. We'll return with the conversation proper after this break. Please don't go away.
By the special grace of God, I will be turning 65 years old on the 21st September 2025. And this happens to be a Sunday. This is why I have decided to dedicate the day to God for all His blessings in my life and having a quiet birthday. I wish to appeal to those who would like to send a birthday card, cakes, flowers, greetings in the newspapers, or gifts, should please send the funds to the designated account for a special project close to my heart, among many others. The completion of the National Library. This will be the best birthday present I could receive. My love for education has informed my decision to dedicate my birthday to this worthy cause. This fund is coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Education under Oluremi at 65 Education Fund, Zenith Bank PLC. Account number is 131-031-4977. Thank you for joining me in this building project. God bless you.
Nivea Black and White Deodorant, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat and odor. 120 dances with skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain and odor protection. Nivea Black and White Deodorant. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
We're not in a romantic relationship, we're in a dash.
Brotherly relationship. Friends with benefits.
Yeah, very bad boy.
No. Family relationship.
Who be your family?
Situationship.
Are you in a situationship?
It is well.
Survey says... Hey!
Onenge is my girlfriend.
You want dodge? Thank God. Say I hacked. An oversized shirt is okay to wear, but an oversized dash isn't.
Skirts.
Bro.
Shop. Wow.
Pants. Whoa. Name something you add to your text to make them more interesting.
Emojis.
Stickers, pictures.
The way my back at the breathing, at the yara.
Gifts.
Survey says.
My birthday.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear you call us. With undying demand, we bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. And before we delve into the topic of discussion, let's take a listen to this background report by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
Reactions are still pouring in over the recent hike in the cost of Nigerian passports, and it's a conversation that is not going away anytime soon. With fees jumping by more than 100%, many Nigerians say they are shocked and worried about what this means to them. Under the new rates, which apply only to passport applications made within Nigeria, the 32-page booklet with a 5-year validity now costs 100,000, while the 64-page booklet with a 10-year validity goes for 200,000. The Nigerian Immigration Service explains the increase as a move to safeguard the quality and integrity of the passport. But critics argue that the new prices will put the travel document out of reach for countless citizens. The change, which took effect on September 1st, 2025, is especially controversial because the new fees outstrip Nigeria's minimum wage, the income many families rely on. Meanwhile, Nigerians in diaspora will continue to pay the old rates of $150 for the 32-page and $230 for the 64-page passports. Supporters of the increase point out that the passport booklets are sourced from abroad, meaning exchange rate pressures have to be factored in. Some experts also note that government has long subsidized passport production, a policy they say is expensive and unsustainable for a document often seen as elitist. The Immigration Service, however, insists it is committed to balancing quality service delivery with accessibility for all Nigerians. But how realistic is that promise under the new regime? Should government step in to subsidize costs for ordinary citizens? These are some of the questions our guests will be tackling shortly.
All right, many thanks, Oyemi Ajayi, for that background report. And to begin our conversation, let me first introduce here in the studio ACG Sunday James, retired, former head of media at the Nigeria Immigration Service. He is now a border security and migration management consultant. We welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Victor.
All right, let me also welcome Mukhtar Modibo Halilu, Secretary General, Follow the Money International. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Do you mind?
Yes, and we also have sitting here in the studio, a regular Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst.
It's a pleasure, John.
I can't wait to get your views on this topic.
You will get it in a short while.
Okay.
All right, let's begin. And let me begin with James Sunday. And that's because you are the closest we have to the system. Having left the helm of the media team at the Nigeria Immigration Service just 4 years ago, help us understand the workings. Now, a lot of reasons have been adduced, which were copiously listed in the background report. But some argue it was just in 2 years ago, the passport was still 26,500, if I'm not mistaken, and 50,000 naira for the 100-page, the 64-page 10 years. And then it became 3570, and then it became, 100, 50, 100, and now 100, 200 within the last 2 years. Help us understand if the challenges truly reflect these increase over time.
Thank you very much for having me in the studio. The Nigerian Immigration Service has come of age from 1963 to date. I think by now, Nigerians are expecting more than what they are getting from the service. If it is the era of production of passport, that's domestically, I think Nigeria has reached a stage where they can produce their passport within the country. If it is also using private individuals on PPP to operate, which has always been the system, there's nothing bad in it. But what it is now that Nigerians are complaining about is the cost. 100,000 to 32-page, 200,000 to the 64-page. For an average Nigerian, not even quantifying the minimum wage, because you cannot use passport as a standard for quantifying minimum wage. You rather use what is the comfort zone of Nigerians, particularly if somebody is from a low class or a commoner who is coming from a poor family, and he has the privilege of having a passport either to travel abroad, maybe because of securing admission, or a job opportunity. If that person cannot afford to raise 100,000 or 200,000, he will miss such an opportunity. That's a deprivation. But on the professional side, when you are migrating from one facility to another, there's what is called phasing out. And in phasing out, you are part and parcel of our system sometimes ago when we are phasing out the old passport. From the e-passport, when we move to enhanced passport, you are covering that bit. From 27,250 for 32-page, 37,250 for the 64-page, we migrated to 50 to 100. By 2007, the first e-passport was introduced by Controller General Joseph Chukura Ode. After he left, a lot of transition took place. The next one took place 10 years after, that's 2017, under Mohamed Babandede, when we migrated from e-passport to enhanced passport. This passport was adjudged to be the best in Africa as at the time it was launched in 2017, with 25 security features polycarbonate, tamper-proof, theft-proof, ICAO standard approved, 25 security features. The chips is there that accommodate all your biometrics, because it was after we moved from e-passport to enhanced that we started doing biometric capture. And the biometric capture captures all your information. And that information is what you use internationally to travel. Wherever you go to, when they put your passport, it's only the biometric that appears. And that's why somebody cannot take your passport to travel with, because once he thumbprints, is the picture of the actual holder that will appear. Today, we are talking about integrity of the passport. We are talking about the accessibility. And we're also talking about quality. What has changed? From 2017 to date, that same enhanced passport has not been changed. No production has been, no upgrading of the passport, because the standard is still the same, because it met the ICAO standard. So if we are moving from that phase of passport to another, it could have been a different ball game. But when you are now using a factor that to Nigerians seems as if you are only trying to deprive them, it's not fair to them.
It's not fair to them at all when they talk about it. They're saying it's about integrity and, better service delivery. Now, let's bring in Jide Ojo into this conversation. The government said it's about quality and service delivery, but Nigerians are asking this fundamental question. Will service really improve, or is it just revenue generation? Critics call this policy arbitrary, unlawful, and anti-people. Let me get your view on that.
Jumai, thank you for inviting me, NT, and I'm worried. I'm worried as a Nigerian. Sonny Okosun, excuse me, the late Sonny Okosun sang a song, I think in the 80s, Victor, or 90, Which Way Nigeria? Which Way Nigeria? What exactly does an average Nigerian enjoy under this administration? Virtually the price of everything is on the rise. It's pointing north. People think when you talk passport is elitist. It's not elitist. Our guardians just told us two things, that it's not even about going on tourism or business. You could have medical issue. Tons of Nigerians go to India, to Egypt for Medicare. What about those who go to study abroad? We have huge number of Nigerians. I never believed that we have up to 55,000 Nigerians studying in Sudan until there was war in Sudan. 55,000 Nigerians. Did they go there with their NIN or with their driving license? All of them have to obtain international passports. So it's a rights-based issue. It's about what I don't get it. The most cogent reason they gave now is about improved service delivery, that it will cut short the number of days that you. No, I think they are talking about 1 week.
There are others advanced. Now, they have talked about a debt of 28 billion naira, which was inherited about 2 years ago. Now, I'm not in a position to say whether that's correct or not, but these are reasons being adduced. Apart from the debt which was cleared, as I got to know, and then it has started piling again, and then they didn't want this to pile up, and so they had to find a way to beef up. They had talked about the passport not being a means of identification, arguing that anybody who could go to school abroad, anybody who could go for medicals abroad, can as well afford a passport at that rate. They have also talked about, the government subsidizing the passport for long years. Maybe SCG Sunday James will be able to clear the air on that. Subsidizing the passport for long years, and that cannot continue because you cannot be subsidizing a document that is meant for the elites.
Now, all of that, this conversation, maybe you should be appointed the new PPRO of Nigeria Immigration.
I'm just advancing the reasons.
Exactly. Listen, these are not in public domain. Mm-hmm. this latest increase was announced barely 1 week to the commencement
August
date.
28th, I think.
Yeah, less than 1 week. You are
Just a
telling us
couple of
August
days.
28th that by September 1, this will kick in. Where is the consultation? Where are the town hall meetings? Did they? Okay, I listened to the Minister of Interior that we now produce our passports here in Abuja. It's produced in Nigeria. It's no longer imported. So you cannot be telling me dollar rate. And why should it be 100%? From 50,000 last year, I think the last increase was last year. Barely 1 year ago, you increase it to 50,000, 100,000. Then 12 calendar months after, you are bringing 100% increase. I mean, it's not fair on Nigerians. Let's be sincere with ourselves. There must be certain threshold beyond which government should not go. And I think we should run this government with human face. I am not, I just, and in any event, will this eliminate corruption? Because there is a huge racket within the immigration service. Whatever price you put, in as far as you are going to do capturing, you know you can feel everything online. Then when it comes to capturing, it's prerogative when you will be invited. And when you get invited, you also know that even if they tell you within 3 to 5 days, you will thank your stars if you get it within those thresholds. So there's still a lot of racketeering, and I believe, even though this is after fact, this has kicked in, it's not like something that we are consulting about. I just hope there will be a kind of monitoring and evaluation, monitoring of the entire process, whether people are getting the improved service delivery. Because what I learned is that they are saying that if you apply, you get your passport within 1 week. I did my renewal last year. It took me about 3 to 6 months. I'm not too sure how long it took me. But, you know, even though it's a renewal, how much more people who have to get their own afresh. So the point is that we are not getting sufficient education. What is the cost component? Was there a subsidy prior to now? The SCG James just told us that there has not been any further enhancement beyond the 25 features that were there since 2017. So even assuming without considering that, yes, price devaluation of currency and all of that, should it attract 100% increase? Can't we have like 10,000, 20,000 maximum on it? Why should we go? And what assurances have we that this time next year we will not be around there talking about another increase? So now we are talking of fuel tax. I'm learning that maybe from January we'll be paying 5% on every 10,000 fuel you buy. I don't know how far that's true. There's increase in the electricity. There's increase in the CNG. It's now 450 naira. For those of you who have converted, glory be to God. I don't know. We are talking of tariff in telecoms. And you know what I've seen, particularly with the telecoms, is that you approve increase. I was here to discuss this telecom increase sometime last year. You approve this increase, and then the quality hasn't improved. So what assurances have we that with this 100% increase, there will definitely and assuredly be improved service delivery? Because ultimately, even if we have to adjust our set and have to go and borrow to do this, to get this, and my advice to my compatriot is that don't wait till when you have a travel insight to get your passport. Otherwise, you will be ripped off by the rackets, you know, because the moment you are desperate, oh, you have a travel to make in October, and then you are applying for passport, you know, after passport, you go for visa. And in that period, you start looking for who can help within the system. If I know maybe my passport will have, my renewal will have been faster, you know. But how many people will have to know somebody within the system to fast track the delivery of what ordinarily should be a seamless exercise. That is not to discount the fact that Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo as Interior Minister has tried, particularly on issue around clearing the backlog of passports that inherited and improved, in a sense, shortening the period that we used to have. But then we cannot continue to say, unless you pay more, that's when you have improved service. It doesn't follow. It's just an assumption that when you pay more for certain services, you have an improved service. It has never been, that correlation is suspect. It's not in all cases that you pay more and then you have improved services. As I've given you the example with the telecoms, there's still a lot of drop costs, there's still a lot of poor internet connectivity, even when they are giving them approval for 50% increase on the tariff.
All right, thank you very much, Jide Ojo. I'm just trying to shed light, since we don't have a representative of government here. I'm just trying to shed light on what is in the domain, maybe some privileged information. Well, that they say turn around for 1 week, that okay, in 1 week you could get it. That's a promise.
Hopefully.
That's a promise.
Which is why the media must follow through. And the civil society must also do. In fact, while I was discussing this on another media channel yesterday, I was even saying that Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo and the Comptroller General of Immigration will have to set up a task force to see whether people still have to sort and bribe and tip for this service to be delivered to them. Because whether you are paying more, in as much as you get desperate to have this on time, some people will still have to play the role of facilitator.
And I also hope that, like other countries, it will be delivered to our homes.
That's also one of the plans.
That's the promise.
But let's hope that
promises.
But let me get to Mukhtar. Now, opponents of this latest hike have talked about 100,000 naira, which is the smaller passport, as against a 70,000 naira minimum wage, as pricing, the lowly out of what is a citizenship right. Speak to us as well as it concerns the notice given between 28th of August and 1st of September, and then the other issues around it.
All right, so first of all, right, in as much as I agree with the two elders here, but I have to look at it from another dimension and another angle. As a young person, I think now maybe my unborn child and then other young people will wake up to know that there is nothing for us if you're not coming from the elitists. I'll give you an example. If you're fly Emirates today, right? If you want your bag and everything to be checked in your house, that is the final form of elitism, right? You can get it done in your house and you pay, right? But I don't know what is the function of increase when nothing is enhanced or nothing is strengthened. He rightly said, in 2017, we got this very passport that we're using and nothing was added to it. One of the things that was announced on the 28th was quality, security, service delivery, and weak currency. That is why we're seeing the increase, right? Are we producing? I can't tell. Are we not producing? I can't tell. But the problem is when we look at passports as what they think, like passport is not a, what do you call it? Passport is not a means of identification. It is when you need it to travel or something. One of the full reasons why a lot of times people don't think about process, they think about miracle in this country, is because information is not out there. I see no reason there will be an increase. You announce something on the 28th and it take effect on the 1st, right? I'm sure my mother that is planning to travel for Hajj is not even aware and her passport has expired. She's not even aware, right? We've got the immigration, we've got the Ministry of Interior, we've got NOA, right? That maybe can collaborate and do the information sharing. All these things aside, for a lot of people that are talking about issues of minimum wage, now maybe I'll compare Morocco, I'll compare South Africa, I'll compare Kenya, right? Morocco's passport fee is around 6.4% of their minimum wage, compared to South Africa that is at 34%, compared to Kenya that is at almost 64%. Now, the reality is, some people will look at the numbers of years. 5 years to pay 100,000. I mean, if you pay 5 years to pay 100,000, it's normal. But I don't think a lot of times when we are increasing this kind of fee, maybe what people are looking at is that level of the administrative form of the increase, not even the whole thing. So nothing has changed from what is there on the passport in 2017 to what is there on the passport in 2025. So what are you increasing? The only thing you are increasing is the fact that you will get the passport within a week, right? So can getting a passport within a week increase by 50% or 100%? Is that justifiable? I don't think it is. So the reality is, I will agree with what Jide said on issues of maybe from the point. You know, when they said a lot of agencies now are turning to be a revenue generating agency in the country, do you know why I will agree? Police now will be doing tinted permit and it's renewable every year. And you have to pay. Immigration will charge you for passport, right? The only thing I pray is let's not get to a year that, okay, for you to have effective process of your NIN, you will have to pay to get it. You get. So there are a lot of things to it. Administratively, if you talk about security, I will agree, because today I want to travel. I was discussing with ACJ. We traveled with one of our research leads to just Cameroon. From my village in Adama, I can enter Cameroon and come out. Nothing will happen, right? But we travel because we use the airport. We were stopped. Yes, my own passport starts with B, maybe B series, that's what it's called. Our research lead, his own passport starts with A, which is A series, right? The immigration officer discovered that I speak Fulfulde. And he was asking, so who do I believe, you or him? Right? So if these are things that we're going to address, is something to really work on. I agree with him. The minister is doing really well. But where is he doing well? Maybe the minister is always mostly on politics today, on Channels Television. He's on Twitter. Few of us are on Twitter. Few of us watch Channels Politics Today. What are we really doing? I feel if this change of this magnitude could happen, maybe we should have like a 6 month of that. I will have to say, the first week of January this year, we got an invitation to come for like a mini town hall meeting, bringing together immigration and some partners, private sector that are operating within the system. We talked about the passports. They talked about the issue of visas and what have you, which is another issue that we need to really consider. How easy do you get Nigerian visa and what have you? Yes, for me, I was telling him, what I expected in that meeting, immigration will champion the meeting around the conversation of this is what our passport is. This is where we are. This is where we hoped to be. More of like showing a roadmap, bringing the price and what have you. You know, but yeah, the minister championed the whole conversation and there were timelines. But unfortunately, the timelines were not met. But I mean, on the 28th, we just saw the announcement and it has already took effect. So automatically, the input of us here or the input of a common Nigerian is not even welcome.
So from an economic point of view, what ripple effects do you foresee in, on migration, education, and of course, trade?
Yeah, to be honest, if I am to speak on that, obviously, a lot of people will be deprived. Because, I mean, if you look at the news yesterday, they said the president has met up some of the tax point. But what happened to people on small and medium enterprise, right? I'll give you an instance. You live in Abuja. Please go around while you're going home. There is one thing you will always see. A lot of times, you see maybe a boy holding a bucket of water and all of a sudden the water is on the ground, he's standing crying. Not because it's a trick to just beg you for money. Any day you stand, I mean, maybe you drive, or most of us drive, but if you stand in any park, you see someone, I saw someone in a supermarket, well-dressed gentleman, he just tapped me, see, I will be very honest with you, I don't need your money, but please buy these 2 bread for me. I'm like, okay, thank you. I will. Why am I saying that? The common economy that we need to really look at is not that big numbers of economy. It's how money, 10 naira, 20 naira, is circulating within a common Nigerian, right? So the problem is if you say someone, example, there's a case that has been taking the social media around a lady being hit by the Dangote truck. Now, a lot of people said a lot of things about, oh, they didn't take her abroad. The first question I ask many people, do you know whether she has a passport? If she don't have a passport, she needs to take time to get a passport. And they need to take time to apply for visa, because you're sick does not mean, okay, everything will happen just like. So will she be able to do that? There are quite a number of them on that. Our SMEs, you know, people that are taking ginger, people that are taking onions and what have you, are these all going to control that? And the last thing I would say, we have a very porous border. Like it or not, I'm from a village that is very close to a border. I tell you, I mean, sometimes we will cook in our house just to go in and eat with people that we know there and come back this side. Nobody talks about, can we address this kind of issues before coming back to address the issue? ACG just mentioned schools, right? People go to school to get education, because there are 2 things. Integral human development has to be built. Optimal institutional performance has to be built. Sometimes the performance cannot be here, might be outside. Just get some level of knowledge and come back. That is the issue. The last thing I'll say, you know, as someone that track government spendings, over time I'm worried about the loans we do accept to do things. Everything that is increased, you will be told that, okay, government was subsidizing it before, but now government don't want to subsidize it. And we still take loans day by day without even cost-benefit analysis. I've not seen it. I don't know if anyone has seen it. So there are things that, you know, a common Nigerian will just want to say, oh, you know what? Once if you're not in government, these things are not meant for you. So you just sit back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mukhtar. Let me get back to ACG Sunday James retired. Now, how realistic, from your experience, how realistic is the promise of a 1-week turnaround, considering that, you know, bottlenecks like the understaffing, logistics, system downtime, connectivity issues are still very much there?
I will want to brush on 2 areas, both Mr. Jide's discourse and my brother's own, before I go into that, because they're very, very germane and foundation for this discussion. The Constitution recognizes the passport as the only means of identification. So it would be very wrong for any person to say the passport is not recognized as a means of identification. The only means of identification that's recognized in the Constitution is the passport. Because you cannot become a Nigerian citizen, you cannot own a passport until you are a Nigerian citizen by the specification given in the Constitution. Either by birth, by naturalization, or by whatever standard. The Constitution recognizes that. And people are mistaking the new development of having NIMSI as a replacement for the passport. The NIMSI is just an integral part of a national identity facility that dwell more on the existence of the passport. Every information you have on the passport is what you see on the NIMSI. And that was why when we were migrating from the NIN, when we were migrating from the e-passport to the enhanced passport, we have to integrate the NIN to the passport. Yeah. That was when Nigerians were saying, no, there is delay. The CG Babadede went on air to explain the reason. Because once we have that information, it will be easier for us to know that you are the actual person we are dealing with. The integrity of the passport is vested on the right information given, not on increase. That being said, the issue of the Nigerian passport has come to be in the front burner, not because of any other reason. Because somebody somewhere will not do his job, and nobody has been sanctioned. That's why we keep mentioning the issue of delay, the issue of corruption. I can vividly tell you that a mandate was given when we were there in 2017. And the CGI will direct me that, James, you are the head of media. There is a room that was open for communication with the public. We have that communication center where the public speak to our officers on every facility that was not issued or was issued wrongly, and they will communicate to me as the head of media, and I will meet the CG and will address it instantly. The one they are to address immediately, they will call the passport office and they will address it. But of recent, I learned that even the passport has been, the approval of passport has been centralized. If a passport officer who is supposed to be the person on ground can no longer approve, approval will have to come from the center. How will you tell me the authentication or the integrity of the person that is looking for the passport in a state, 36 states of federation, including FCT, and foreign missions? You want to centralize passport to be approved at the center. A case in time, when I was controller of immigration in Bayelsa, somebody was looking for official passport, a government official who has left government. And the government house gave him a letter. But when he came to Abuja, they called me. Controller, are you aware of so person being a government official in Bayelsa? And I called the government house and they said he has retired. He's not entitled to having such passport. This is what is check and balance. When we were as controllers, when I was in Bayelsa and Rivers, which I headed by privilege, I was going to the passport offices without notice to see what the officers were doing in Mufti. I will sit within the crowd and observe whatever game that's being played. And when they realize that the controller will not give room, because it's only when you give room to corruption that somebody will bring something to you. So if the sheriff will not collect, the sergeant will not bring. So the truth about this corruption we're talking about is somebody somewhere must be able to step his feet on the ground. When Babandede was posting people on to passport offices and foreign posting, none of them know who the CG was. They have never met him one-on-one. And when they come to headquarters, because they will invite them with list, some of them will be crying, thinking they were to be punished, only to not know that they were to be screened for being passport officers or to go for foreign posting. And severally, we've had this series of things within that year that nobody knows the CG before he's posted as passport officer. And he will tell them, I don't want to see you in my house or in my office. If you are given that kind of a mandate, and you know the person that is sending you will not collect from you, how dare you now go somewhere and say you are merchandising or commercializing? I was in these two states. Bayelsa and Rivers are very, very paramount to this country. You know the flow of money because of oil. But yet my PCOs were under check. Ask anybody, record is there. I will go and sit in the public, and then after a while they will discover, controller is here. But I've already gotten all the information I need. That is how the work is supposed to be done.
So do you think that 1 week is possible, 1 week turnaround?
What are we turning around? The system is already on. Mr. President has given the platform for everybody to succeed. The stakeholders must do their bit. There is nothing to turn around anywhere apart from us making sure that the right thing is done. And what is the right thing? The right people should be placed in the right place. If you put somebody who doesn't know anything about the passport because of maybe personal interest, and then the person has a system before him that he cannot operate, because in those days the passport officer is supposed to be monitoring what's happening, and the Controller General in sitting then, Babandede, will see what's happening in all the passport offices on his table. You have seen it before. He has a dashboard in his office where everything that is done in any passport office drops on his table. He cannot lie to anybody that doesn't know what's happening. So what are we talking about? On ICT, We are thinking that ICT is a new thing. ICT is not a new thing. ICT has been with us all along. The Nigerian Immigration Service has been the forerunner among agencies of government that has been computerized. We have they call it Washington, this Greater Washington. They were supposed to be the one delivering passport to homes in the arrangement that was there before. Whether they have been removed or not, I don't know. So all these provisions that you are hearing about, they are there. So the major issue is about the crop of officers that are working now. Whether they have somebody mentoring them or not. Whether they are trained to the level that they should be able to handle issues for this generation. Because my former boss, Wabandere, will tell you, he said, globalization is the order of the day. You have heard that before. Globalization means, it's its own word. Think global, act local. What is the standard globally? In global community, are they doing the same thing we are doing? If they will increase the price of passport, are they going to just give 1 week? Are they going to just pass out a circular? Are they going to just reel out a press release? Where is the fundamental right of Nigerians? In Section 41 of the Constitution, they are granted them the right for free movement. If you restrict such kind of movement because of one constraint, that is an infringement. Yes, the Minister of Interior, under Section 30 of the Nigerian Immigration Act, is being empowered to prescribe fees for travel documents, visas, SEPAC, and passport, but not without it going through constitutional process. What's the constitutional process? There should be stakeholders meeting. There should even be a brief from the service originating, bringing out the need for such changes. The minister is not supposed to be the spokesperson for the service. The service is supposed to initiate, this is what we need for improvement, this is why we need improvement, because we have studied that in international community this was happening.
But this announcement was made by the service, by the public PRO.
I'm not the service PRO.
On the website.
I know that I have served as service PRO, and there was no time any public information comes from the service without a service stakeholders meeting. Okay. Even the media are being called, include yourself that time. So what I'm trying to say now is, we must of necessity go back to drawing board. There must be a multi-stakeholders meeting. This thing must be passed through the normal process of even allowing the National Assembly to have a say. Then when an approval is given, Mr. President will assent, and then it will be gazetted. When you are collecting money from the public, how dare you tell us about accountability? Can you be a judge in your own case?
Cannot.
So there must be check and balance. Somebody somewhere must be able to know that this thing has been gazetted. And then you bring it forth to the public as a gazetted material. That will make them to now know that it's not easy to change something under 1 year. But when it's not gazetted, and you don't pass it, and it looks as if it's a private entity, I can wake up tomorrow and then tell you I'm increasing passport. By next tomorrow, I increase. But when it's gazetted, it means you have to go through some processes. So what I'm advising or advocating for is there must be due process.
Is there a limit? I'm sorry, Juma, just a moment. Is there a time frame within which such increases should be made? Because in the last 3 years, it's been the third increase.
I don't want to go back to the history of the last 3 years because I was not part of the last 3 years. What matters most to me is when we were actually disengaging from the e-passport to enhanced passport, you are privileged to have covered that bit. There was what was called a phasing period. We allowed the old passport to be going hand in hand with the new. What it means is the person that doesn't have power to go into the enhanced can go with the old. And then to avoid people going through stress, we refuse to remove it instantly. The same thing should go with this issue. It must be a phase-out period. Nigerian Immigration Service is the #1 diplomatic platform. No, Immigration Service of every nation is the #1 diplomatic platform of every nation. That's why when there's a visa clash, immigration must be involved and the foreign affairs. When there's a passport clash, immigration must be involved. Because the first diplomatic stand of every nation goes with immigration service. And that's why it's called migration governance.
Okay, that's what it's called, migration governance and processes. And we need to remind our viewers that we're expecting your questions, your suggestions on this topic. Some have been coming in now. Let me come to Jido Ojo. He talked about process. So should the National Assembly step in to regulate, passport pricing, or should the just Immigration Service continue to do what they're doing?
There's no two way about it. If truly the National Assembly is the representative of Nigerians, this is an issue they need to take up. We cannot be having an annual increase, and not just a marginal, but a substantive increase without a corresponding improved service delivery. This is impunity at its height, and this should not be condoned. It's not even about whether people can pay. See, all these increases that are being arbitrarily done is giving the government a negative image in the minds of ordinary citizens. It's not because a section of Nigeria can afford something, you increase the price and say, after all, if you cannot afford it, you don't have to use it. That is not what government is all about. In my column in the Punch newspaper, which was today is Thursday. Yes, yesterday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yes, yesterday in my column, I looked at our democracy and good governance, and there was no link. There was supposed to be democracy is supposed to link to development and good governance, but in our own case, all international bodies that are evaluating good governance and democracy are rating Nigeria very poorly. The latest being Chandler Good Governance Index, which put Nigeria at about 146 out of 180 countries. This was 2025. So what is good governance? When people cannot see the dividends of their investment in voting a government into power. And people will talk about poor turnout of voters at elections. When you look like your life has been worsted in the course of the 4 years of a government, will you want to come out and vote that government again? If you cannot vote against, you will abstain. So there must be certain things that ordinary citizens like you and I can enjoy. Some of us have borrowed to the hilt to pay our bills. So they should not say because somebody is wearing suit or is wearing shoe, then he can afford. Do you know the debt portfolio of that person? Do you know how much indebted the person is? So you cannot say because somebody is wearing rag is poor, or because somebody is wearing nice clothes is rich. That is a wrong assumption. There are things you should take for granted. I do not believe that government has been subsidizing our international passport. I do not believe it.
So what should the National Assembly do now?
I've told you, they need to step into it. They should ask the Immigration Service to put a note, do a proper investigation. There is always a committee, Senate committee, House committee on every agencies of government. So there should be one on immigration, Ministry of Interior. And I think on issues of this nature, I've had, just like Mukhtar said, I've seen the minister doing the job of a spokesperson. I think it's the service that should speak more on some of these issues. Oftentimes, maybe because of access, the minister will be on this media channel or that media channel. But I don't even know who is the PPRO of Nigeria Immigration Service.
SPRO.
Is it SPRO, whatever it is called, or even the Controller General of Nigeria Immigration. She's supposed to also communicate with the Nigerian public.
But the argument has been also that the new increase, talking about the lower rung, which is the 32 page, falls at $65, and that places Nigeria still as one of the cheapest around the world.
Wait, $65. How much are they collecting from Nigerians abroad? They are collecting $125. $150 for the 32. So that means they are making money. So it comes to the issue of, is Nigeria Immigration, a GOE, government-owned enterprises, that is also getting target to contribute revenue to the coffers of the federal government. And even if you are a revenue-generating agency, shouldn't you do it with human face? Why should you have a quantum leap of 50,000 to 100,000? That's 100% increase if my arithmetic is right. I'm not a very good student of math. But that's like 100,000. So if you say it costs you $65, and Nigerians in diaspora are made to pay more than twice that amount to get the same service, that means they are getting more from them, and perhaps maybe they are using them to subsidize the local one. But now they are also kind of saying that they are removing the subsidy. I think this is where we need proper transparency and accountability. How much, in true sense, does it cost to produce a document? Don't forget, my basic knowledge of printing is if you are doing mass production, price come down. That is in printing principle. If you are doing the same, you want to print a calendar, you are printing 500 calendar and you are printing 5,000 calendar. When you look at the unit cost, it comes down because of mass production. So one, I know from watching Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo that this passport is now being produced in Abuja here. They have a facility somewhere in Gwagwalada, or is it either Kujo or Gwagwalada, where they are producing this passport. And if it's produced locally, the economies of mass production should come in. And you cannot say, if you are carrying passport for 5 years, but people's passport get expired on daily basis, so the renewal also comes in. The most important thing for us is that we must see this from a right-based approach. Is it a right of citizen to carry a passport? Is this restricting the movement of citizens? Because if you cannot go to a place without certain things, it's like, well, I cannot drive a car without having a driving license, so I have to procure one. And in any event, that also has increased. Yes. The price of driving license, the price of vehicle licensing, everything has increased. So to the extent that now it's about dollar as, because of price of dollar, but the dollar has standardized, has stabilized. We cannot tolerate an annual increase in the price of international passport. For me, the presidency, not even the National Assembly, should step in. President Bola Tinubu should investigate why this annual increase. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops at the president's table. He's the one that people will say is running a government without human face. They will not remember who Tunji-Ojo is if he leaves office today. They will not remember who is the Controller General of Customs or Immigration. After all, how many people remember Betta Edu today that she was a minister under this administration?
Messages, I guess.
Yes, we have some messages that came in. Let me begin with this message that came in from Edet Isang here in Abuja. He said, I wonder why we keep looking outward to produce our national documents. At a time like this, we should look forward to handle our national documents. Importing the passport materials is not a good excuse for price hike. And Arike and Maitama said, why do we have to wait for up to 2 months to make a simple correction on our international passport? I was told immigration sources out this passport, meaning they are flown abroad for correction. Why do we have to go through this? Why should Nigerians go through this? Arike and Maitama. Another one said, increasing cost of passport, critical. He said 100,000 for a 32-page passport is in a country where minimum wage is 70,000. This is not just a policy, it's a barrier for mobility for millions of Nigeria. And that's from Kaduna, engineer Ibrahim Abdullahi. And then Mercy from Lagos said, Nigeria's domestic passport prices have seen a substantial increase, which warrants attention. For instance, compare the worth of 30K in 2017 and 2025. I suggest we prioritize economic improvement, which would likely have a positive impact on cost. And McCoy from Lagos said the passport of now is it faster than the passport of then. For me, it is faster than before. Victor.
All right. This one is from Jack Abba from Makurdi. No matter how high the cost of international passports, those who need them will always pay. But instead, one would have thought of a cost reduction to discourage those losing lives trying to illegally cross high seas and deserts to travel overseas. Okay, and from Arabic Kende Paul, Life Camp, the Nigerian passport is the first source of our identification. It's a shame that we still print our national passport from outside the country. The argument of desperate Nigerians paying more, quality and integrity as reasons for high cost is untenable. Please let the Minister and the Controller General know that we cannot pay for this and revert back to reality. All right, and from Tunde Alade in Lagos, the high cost could prevent students, professionals, and job seekers from pursuing education or employment opportunities abroad. This disproportionately affects young people who are trying to build their careers. From Usman Abdul, the Minister of Interior has indeed made commendable strides in improving NIS service delivery, but the recent increment in passport fees is disheartening and inconsiderate. Imagine a family of 5. The financial implication is enormous and almost unbearable. And from Amos here in Abuja, good morning. The increase of passport without prior and proper notification is a big challenge to Nigerians, especially myself. I am jobless and my son got scholarship in a school abroad. In the process of applying for a passport renewal this week, by the help of my sister, this occurred, and she can't afford it if it's 100,000 naira. With this, it has affected his admission. Government should understand that not only the elite requires passports. Amos from Abuja. And finally, thank you very much, Jide Ojo, for saying exactly the minds of some Nigerians compared to the other gentleman. All fingers are not equal. All right. Responses?
Responses like Mukhtar.
Yeah,
so what does that tell us, about our policy priorities here in Nigeria?
For me, right, he rightly mentioned things around check and balances. So what will happen to an immigration to come out with a 3-pager document talking about maybe dating back to history, looking about what brought change from this to this, this to this, this to this, for Nigerians to really take it. I'll give you an example with the tax reforms. The tax reforms happen, the president assented to it and everything, and they gave almost 6 months or 7 months for it to take effect in January, right? So it shows that, okay, whatever you have, in as much as we know we have to follow through a process, whatever you have to go through it. But I think, governance is all about question and answers, demand and supply, right? Maybe there are things that we need to do as citizens. We do send some people to represent us in the National Assembly. We did not just brought them here to just be driving in Abuja, right? We brought them here because we think they will represent us. So what happened to maybe now having to be deliberate and systematic, writing letters to all our members, informing them about this hike and how it affects us, and see how many members can take this thing up. I mean, they do oversight. Immigration has a committee, or Interior has a committee. Let's see what can be done. Because if in 2 years there will be hike, what will happen in the next 2 years? Maybe it will be 500,000. These are conversations.
Unfortunately, the National Assembly is on recess, on annual recess.
So you see, this is another thing.
But they will come back.
They will definitely come back. But I think that's another thing. The second thing I want to really say about when he mentioned about the minister being on, to be honest, the only thing we do is analyze government policy and see how we can give advices on direction. To be honest, if you ask me who is the service spokesperson of immigration, I confidently tell you I don't know. Because, I mean, I don't know if there are fora where that person comes out to just speak about this. Because if you're putting a 1 week notice, 2 weeks notice or 3 weeks.
He's not here today. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be here.
Yeah,
actually.
so I felt that even if you cannot do anything, right, you should maybe organize, even if it is a press conference that few people can know. I will have to tell you, as a young person and as a very critic of government, to be honest, right, the last word I used yesterday was, are you sure this government is not confused? I can count my hands and tell you the number of appointments that were done and undone within short period of time.
Anyway, we will stick to passport issues, especially.
I mean, it's an
when
issue
we
of
return.
passport.
We're talking about
we have to
policy.
go on
No,
break.
we're talking about
we have to
policy
go on break.
priorities now.
We have to go on break.
Okay.
But we'll stick to passport-related issues after this break. Please don't go away.
Go away.
By the special grace of God, I will be turning 65 years old on the 21st September 2025. And this happens to be a Sunday. This is why I have decided to dedicate the day to God for all His blessings in my life and having a quiet birthday. I wish to appeal to those who would like to send a birthday card, cakes, flowers, greetings in the newspapers, or gifts, should please send the funds to the designated account for a special project close to my heart, among many others. The completion of the National Library. This will be the best birthday present I could receive. My love for education has informed my decision to dedicate my birthday to this worthy cause. This fund is coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Education under Oluremi at 65 Education Fund, Zenith Bank PLC. Account number is 131-031-4977. Thank you for joining me in this building project. God bless you.
We can change the narrative about Nigeria. You know, when people talk about Nigeria, they talk negatively about it most of the times. So it's the role of the filmmakers to now bring that positive side of Nigeria for the world to understand that Nigerians are more than the negative information they used to get. And we can do that digitally, because in those days, you know, you have to communicate or go for lectures for people to understand where you're coming from. But now you have these platforms. Everything you have can go on these platforms. People will see globally. Look at Nigeria on Netflix. It's doing really very well. When Nigerian films premiere on Netflix, you find out that they're in the top 5 or top 10 in most of the European countries, Asian countries, and all other parts of the world. So this is one of the ways through which we can be able to export that, you know, or do that cultural exchange.
How much of being a Nigeria cultural ambassador are you? And we're all guilty of this. Most of us Nigerian filmmakers are guilty. So here we see a good number of us telling stories that are still Western culture dominated. From the naming of your characters, from the writing of your story, the characters are named English names. What happens to Yoruba names? What happens to Hausa names? What happens to Igbo names? What happens to Tiv names? What happens to our cultural epic names? Oh, they say, but they will not be able to pronounce it. Oh, leave that to them. Do we pronounce their own names? We have to be intentional about how we represent our culture, knowing now that the world is a global space and you don't need people's permission. Everything you do, directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally, you're putting the Nigerian story out there. I think we should begin to make conscious attempts at creating our own streaming platforms. So we thank God for giant streaming platforms like Prime Video. We thank God for giant streaming platforms like Netflix and the rest of them. But what happens if today or if tomorrow we come up with our own Nigerian Netflix?
You're
All right,
welcome.
thank you very much for staying with us. This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA if you've just joined us. And we've been discussing the increasing costs of procuring passports in Nigeria. And we have three gentlemen in the studio who have been doing justice to the subject. But let me...
Yes, we have. I have something that
Oh,
I think
okay.
is addressed to you. That came in. Say, I urge you journalists to conduct an investigation into passport procurement in Nigeria Immigration Service. There's more to this than meets the eye. And I remember, Victor, there was a time you did a special, that brought to the fore so many issues about the passport and the processes that came in. Yes.
That was from
2018.
Yes, 2018. And you were there.
It helped us.
Yes, you did. And it's
thorough investigation. It helped us.
Yes.
I'm still having that documentary.
Yeah.
You still have it?
Yes. All right. Let me think. I think I have two messages.
Yes,
we
good
just use
job.
it to set the tone. This one is from Godwin from Benin City. He said, "Good morning and thanks for this wonderful opportunity. Even at the former cost, I procured my last passport at 150,000 naira for a 64-page passport for 5 years. No, 64 5 years. Okay. When you get there, it's categorized. There is the one for common people that want to pay regular price and those who want express. Yes. Meanwhile, they make it look like it's never available. I paid 150,000 naira because I wanted it express, that is urgently. Even at that, it still took about 3 days, and I had to tip every desk all the way. So it's all about endemic corruption in that place. So unfortunate. This official cost is outrageous. National Assembly should step in." Okay, and from Mr. Godday. "Good morning, Nigeria. Today, I thank you all for doing good work. I want to ask a question. Why is it that we overseas renew our passports at more than $100? Okay.
Yes, and Abodirin said to renew a passport in the UK is like a nightmare. Things might be done the right way. The bottleneck created by immigration officers is something else. What people are experiencing is appalling. The government should create more centers to make things easy for people in diaspora." And Jeslim Anima Sheon said, "Aside the increment in the price of Nigerian passport, the other thing the government should look into is the issue of numbering. If you open a bank account as a diasporan and when the passport expires, you restart the whole process again because you're using a passport with a different number, unlike in South Africa where the passport and national identity card has the same number."
Now, it may be able to respond because I think it's always been the case that they pay more abroad. Why is this so?
See, as far as I'm not part of the policy makers in
your time,
no. Policy makers in emplacing the amount of money that's supposed to be charged.
Okay.
Because they are the only people that knows the reason why they are increasing or removing money. So when it comes to the issue of increase of money or whatever, it is at policy level. Yes, it's at the policy level because it's between the Controller General and the Ministry of Interior. No officer under them can tell you that this is the reason why it's increased, unless maybe by the time they finish their decision and they communicate. That being that, so it's a policy issue that nobody apart from them, so they should be invited to come and explain why the increases. But when it comes to the issue of getting passport and people being shortchanged, it boils down to this same issue of corrupt tendency and lack of supervision. Because just like I mentioned, I gave you an example of while I was in Bayelsa and Rivers, if every other person who is heading a command will oversee the passport control officer to that extent, and you don't tell them to bring anything to you, definitely should be able to talk. You should be able to talk. So what I'm advocating is people should be patriotic. If you are employed as a government official and you are being paid salary, there is no reason for you to create another opportunity in your office for the purpose of making extra money because you are depriving individuals of certain things that are supposed to be their entitlement. And passport is one of it. So what I would say in essence now, the issue of increasing passport fee because of quality, integrity, and accessibility, has it addressed the issue of the integrity of the officers who are the operatives? I saw a news last week. I don't know whether you saw it too. A Ugandan woman that the minister himself said was intercepted at an airport, that she paid $1,000
for the Nigerian passport.
For the Nigerian passport, not from somebody else.
A non-Nigerian.
What is the take about that issue? We are not saying that somebody should come and be explained to us here. For somebody to have collected $1,000 to issue a passport to a Ugandan woman, and then it's only when the woman got to the airport that it was discovered. What of it was not discovered?
And there could have been several that were not discovered.
So let's talk about the integrity.
Chadians,
Let's talk about the integrity of the officers who are the operative, and then let's also talk about the willingness of the supervisors to supervise. Because when you are appointed as a government official who is a chief executive, you are a supervisor. No matter what name they gave you, because you are not Mr. President. Mr. President is Mr. President. Every other person is a supervisor under the minister, under the presidency. So if you are not supervising, then definitely you are also part of the problem. It's not just making public statements, sending out circulars. We must be seen to be doing what we should be walking the talk. They should be seen to be picking officers. Look at what's happening in the police force. A good development. Many people, I've seen a lot of police officers their rank being removed because they will intercept them because of this and that and that. That we should see also about immigration. That we should see about fire service. That we should see about civil defense and every other agency. But since we are talking about passport, let us see the example of people that are being used. Because people are, okay, you can see the text message that's coming up. People are mentioning countries.
Yes.
I, as a former PRO, I know sometimes I suffer sleeplessness because people will be calling me thinking I'm still there. But because I want to keep my relationship, I will direct them to the people I will speak to them. Please, this person is from me. But does that stop whatever it is somebody wants to do? Because I wouldn't know what's happening. But the truth about the matter is those who are on the seat of power should please supervise and do their job.
All right, thank you. Thank you, ACG Sunday James, retired. Jidojo, somebody had mentioned in a message earlier, but do you really think that the poor could resort to any good means of travel with all the attendant risks just because the passport has become unaffordable, so to speak?
That's not a good justification for Japa or even going through the Sahara and the Atlantic Ocean to illegally migrate to other countries. And that's why in the recent past, Nigeria have been more or less a target of deportation of undocumented migrants. In fact, I think 2 days or 3 days ago, UK has come out to say if you are a student and you come to this country, you should not expect to overstay your visa. If you overstay by 1 day, you are risking deportation. And so an issue of illegal migration is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's an African, it's even a global phenomenon because we also have a lot of illegal migration in the Southern America, Venezuela, Cuba. Yesterday I was watching CNN. I saw the deportation of undocumented Cubans back to their country. Every country, as CG James said, issue around ACG. Well, I'm promoting you in retirement. As he said, issue of passports and immigration is just not a diplomatic issue, it's a security issue. It's a security issue. The issue mentioned by Oga ACG, a Ugandan woman paying $1,000 to obtain Nigerian passport, assuming that person is a terrorist. What will you say? They will say a Nigerian terrorist was threatening to do X, Y, Z, not knowing that he's not a Nigerian. And we have that, particularly in northern Nigeria, Niger, Mali, Chad, Cameroon. My brother just owned up that they could go for dinner or lunch in Cameroon and walk back to Nigeria. But how do you prevent a Cameroonian from obtaining Nigerian passport? So the issue is, we are talking price today. But there is more to passport than price. And the issue of irregular migration, it is for government to look into how to make our country livable. Now we are more or less, Nigerians are suffering xenophobic attack, even in Ghana. Did you see Ghanaians protesting that Nigeria must go? Just last month. In South Africa, it's still happening. All over. UAE is saying that if you don't have up to $10 million, I think you cannot get passport, visa to come. Or if you are not 18 to a certain age, if you don't have a companion, you cannot come. Now everybody is tightening their security, they are upping their security, and you don't blame them because of the global terrorism challenge that every country is facing. But for me, we cannot also now use price increase of our passport as a means of preventing people from travel. There are people who want to genuinely travel, like the case of, I don't know what is Amos, who says his sister was going to pay for his son passport to be able to access a scholarship.
Then the increase came.
Then the increase came, and he said he's not sure the sister will be able to pay. So that is deprivation that Oga ACG talked to. So you are depriving people for legitimately traveling to attain their prospects in life. And that is why I would not be surprised if some public interest lawyers will sue the Nigeria Immigration Service for this. We cannot continue to tolerate. If last year we have protested.
Already released a statement.
Serap has described the hike as arbitrary and unlawful.
Exactly. It's arbitrary. You did one last year because people kept quiet. You have not gone overboard. As he said, because you are the face we are seeing, I have to make copious reference to you. Why will you issue a statement on 28th of August to take effect on 1st of September? Even the tax issue, Mukhtar raised it. Tax, after the signing into law, the presidency agreed that it will not come to effect until 6 months after, until January 2026. And a lot of sensitization is going on. So people's minds are being prepared. But situation where you give less than, and I'm not surprised that the public PRO of the immigration, maybe he or she may have refused to come on this program, because I will imagine that NT authority will have extended an invitation to him or her. But you know, people are boiling with anger, because you just wake up every week, and then officially things that you should ordinarily take for granted, you are shocked with increase, which is almost immediate. And we can't continue along this trajectory. These are things that spur people to protest, to violence. And I have told you earlier on, this is why we will continue to have low voter turnout, when people will say, what has this government even done? What have I gained as a citizen of this country that I can point to that has improved my standard of living? So this is a serious right-based issue that all civil society and media needs to come together and put the Nigeria Immigration Service and the Nigeria Ministry of Interior on the spot to reverse this, do proper consultation, and if Nigerians are convinced, then you can say by January 2026, with effect from that time, even if it's 3 months, prepare people's mind. Then it can kick in after you have convinced us. But to just shove it down our throat, take it or leave it. After all, you can afford to travel.
Okay, Jide. Mukhtar, what's the way forward, actually?
So pretty much I feel the way forward is to be deliberate from both sides. As citizens, we need to be deliberate on how we, put in our requests. We've got senators, we've got House of Reps members. These are people that are representing us, and these are people that should put up our information out there to the MDS.
Should the subnational add their voice.
Yeah, I think they should do that. And from the government side, I think immigration need to do more, not maybe shielding under their ministry. Because I feel Ministry of Interior, the minister is just the face of almost all the agencies. So if the immigrations, the fire service, NIMSI, and everybody will come out to be saying things around what they are doing so that people will be informed, and maybe reverse this and look at prepare people. You know, preparedness is one of the issues that we need to address very well in this country, not maybe addressing the issue. A lot of times I say when they talk about corruption or anti-corruption or what have you, I think we should do more of the preparedness, like inform people this will cause this, this will cause this, this will cause this.
Like
These are the implications. Thank you. So that people are aware before, you know, the whole thing take effect. If we don't do that, I don't think as a country we need to, everybody need to be running a race.
All right.
And everybody need to be winning that race together.
All right. Thank you, Mukhtar. Before we get to ACG Sunday, James, let's take the last set of messages.
Yes.
This one is from Linus from Jos. Good morning, NTA. I'd like to ask the passport authorities, 100% increase for what? To repay accumulated debt? By who? For who? Or is it another way of responding to Donald Trump's tariff hikes? My concern is on the poor who would want to go to Saudi, Israel, from his or her pocket to perform his or her religious obligation. This can really add to the problem Nigerians are going through. That's from Linus. And from McCoy in Lagos, the main issue isn't being addressed. I'm concerned about the significant price hike of domestic passports in Nigeria. Compare the cost of production in 2017 and the cost of the same production in 2025, which highlights the disparity. While the immigration sector is directly affected, I believe the underlying issue is Nigeria's economic situation. Perhaps we should focus on improving the economy together. Only then can we expect relief from such price increases.
Yes, and Jerry Ronnie said, I went to renew my international passport at the immigration office in Warri yesterday. One of the female officers requested 140,000. I walked away. This is gross misconduct, that Jerry.
ACG Sunday, James, your final word?
My final word is, we were talking about the head of media speaking. It all boils down to mentorship, experience, and the ability to say the truth.
But you do know that as head of media, you don't speak until you are authorized to do so. Am I right?
You don't speak until you are authorized to do so, but you are very, very sure. Severally, I've met my boss, even when he's making statement, and I know possibly you see me walking towards him. That is why you are there as head of media. When we were to start the enhanced passport, I remember vividly, we had a very thorough meeting with the former minister, Arebeshola. When he was canvassing for 3 months for process of passport, and it was a hot debate. And my CG said, no, sir, I am the chief executive. That's what one day. He said, I'm the chief executive. The boys top on my table. If there's any issue, it is me first. And the next thing said, James, you are the service PRO. What is the feeder from the public? And I said, sir, we can't go beyond 1 week. That is what it entails being a media, because you are more feeding from the public. You may not be able to say things without permission, but you'll be able to tell your boss the truth. I think that was what I enjoyed. By virtue of institutional memory, every head of media must understand that he or she is the face of the service, and if there's any backlash, it's because somebody somewhere is not speaking.
Thank you so much. ACG James Sunday, retired former head of media, Nigeria Immigration Service, Border Security and Migration Management Consultant. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my sister.
Yes. Mukhtar Modibo Halilu, Secretary General, Follow the Money International.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst. We appreciate you always. Thank you so much.
My pleasure too.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. I am Jumba Yusuf. Do have a wonderful day ahead.
And I am Victor Azumi. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.